received a petition from 109 NGOs led by the Defenders Protection Initiative requesting for an extension. Their concern was there was no adequate awareness in regard to the Act and then its regulations. The NGO Bureau, together with the PDPO, appreciated the need to grant the extension from 31st October 2022, and the extension was made for 1 month. Those are 30 days. That is from 30th day of November 2022. However, you can remember that this is not the first time that the PDPO is giving a notification regarding the Act and the requirements to register with its office. In the Daily Monitor of 30th November and 2nd November 2022,
I think we lost you. Becca, are you there? We have lost Ronald again.
Okay, Ronald is back. You can say about that.
All right.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I think I can just continue from where I ended.
Yes.
I was still notifying that this is not the first time that PDPO is notifying institutions to register with their office. You remember in November 30th and 2nd December 2021, PDPO notified all entities that collect and process personal data to register with a grace period of up to December 2021. And you're well aware that NGOs all qualify to register as bodies that collect and process personal data. However, when they petitioned the deadline with the 109 NGOs led by Defenders Protection Initiative, with their concern of creating awareness, the PDPO as well as the NGO Bureau extended the registration by 1 month, and this will not be further extended. We have a commitment as NGO Bureau as well as the PDPO office to create awareness through virtual sessions on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. to support those undertaking the registration process. And more details will be shared on the two regulators' social media platforms. I think with those few remarks, I call upon Becca to take on the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronald. My name is Becca Bilikuja from the Personal Data Protection Office. We thank you for partnering with us and making sure that we help your regulated parties to ensure they comply with the Act. I hand over back to the moderator, Anita, who will notify us of the next session. Over to you, Anita.
Okay, thank you very much, Becca and Ronald, for those remarks. The next agenda is we are going to have a presentation from Isabella Pedun. Isabella works in the Licensing and Legal Affairs Department at the Personal Data Protection Office. Members, as we go along with this presentation, if you have any questions, you are encouraged to type them in the Q&A panel. And if you have any other comments or insights, kindly do type them in the chat. Isabella Fedun, you are welcome. You can give us your presentation.
Thank you so much, Anita. You're all welcome once again. My name is Pedun Isabella. I'm going to give you a brief about what personal data protection is about, because we have been receiving a number of inquiries about what this is all about and what the Personal Data Protection Office does. So I'm going to, before taking you through the steps on how to apply, I'm going to first give you a brief about what we do. Kindly hold on. So the right to privacy is provided for in the Constitution of Uganda, and the government enacted the Data Protection and Privacy Act and its regulations to provide for the right to privacy of individuals and their personal data, the rights of these data subjects, and the obligations on organizations that process, control, and collect or retain and disclose personal information. So in this part, I'm going to show you the laws that are applicable. That is the Constitution and the Data Protection and Privacy Act, plus the regulations of 2021. So this law applies to any person, institution, or public body that collects, processes, holds, or uses personal data within Uganda, and those organizations that do the same in relation to Ugandan citizens. So this data may be processed or recorded automatically or manually through so what is personal data? Personal data is any information that can be used to identify a person. It includes the name, nationality, marital status, information details about someone's education or their occupation, an ID number, email address, bank account name, sexual life details, etc. Who are these data subjects? The data subjects are employees, customers, suppliers, contractors, and clients. So in the sense of NGOs, your clients are the people who you provide the NGO services to. For example, the children, NGOs that deal with women, NGOs that deal with persons with disabilities. Now, who is a data collector? This is basically someone who collects personal data. Then the controller is a person who determines the purpose for and the manner in which this personal data is to be processed. So a data processor means a person other than the employee of a data controller who processes data on behalf of the controller. So processing includes collecting, organizing, storing, altering, erasure, sharing that information, or even destroying the personal data. Now, who is a data protection officer? This is basically someone who is designated by the organization to be responsible for ensuring compliance with this law. So briefly, these are the functions of the office to oversee and implement and to oversee implementation and enforcement of the Act, to conduct awareness trainings, to maintain the register, to set, monitor, and regulate standards for personal data protection, to conduct audits to ensure compliance, and we also receive and investigate complaints relating to violation of the Act. So the data protection officer is someone, like I told you, who is designated by the organization to be responsible for complying with this Act. Institutions under the law, institutions that whose activities consist of processing operations which by virtue of their nature, scope or purpose require regular and systematic monitoring of data subjects on a large scale, and institutions whose core activities consist of processing personal data are required to designate a data protection officer. So special personal data, like I have listed here, includes information about someone's race, political opinion, religious beliefs, sexual life details, financial information, health status, or medical records amounts to special personal data. So the law provides for designation of a data protection officer. That means that the dictionary meaning of designation basically is to choose or appoint. So that means that an organization may choose an existing employee to be the data protection officer, or they may choose to employ someone to specifically be their data protection officer. So who may be designated as a data protection officer? This person's role within the organization must be independent, and they must not be actively involved in the processing activities of the organization. This may be a lawyer, the auditor, the monitoring and evaluation officer, assurance officers, compliance officers, or the information security officers. So briefly, this is a list of the roles of a data protection officer: to conduct regular assessments and audits to ensure compliance, to serve as a point of contact between the organization and the Personal Data Protection Office, to maintain records of all data processing activities conducted by the organization, to respond to data subjects and inform them about how their personal data is being used and what measures the organization has put in place to protect the personal data. And the data protection officer also has to ensure that data subjects' requests to see copies of their personal data or to have it erased or edited are fulfilled or responded to. Yes, so now that I'm done with giving you a brief about what the office does, I would like to take you through the steps on how to register with the office. Most people have been coming to the office to register physically, but you don't have to come to the offices. The registration process is online, and I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process on how to create an account and begin the application process. Kindly hold on. Those who have maybe their computers next to them, or those who have their phones with them, we can move together. Kindly hold on. So you first go to your browser and type www.pdpo.go.ug. This will lead you to the website of PDPO. Kindly hold on. Okay. So you go to the website like I've showed you, www.pdpo.go.ug. It will lead you to the website. So you click register. After clicking register, this is the information that you fill in. You put the name of the organization, as it appears on your certificates of incorporation or the certificates that have been issued by the NGO Bureau. You include a valid organization email address that you have access to and that is fully functioning. You put the organization's telephone number, and the person who is making this application should put their first name and their last name. So you will click to agree to the terms and conditions, and then you will submit this form. So this form is basically you creating an account with the Personal Data Protection Office, and the registration process does not stop there. A number of people have created accounts but have not completed their application for registration. So after submitting these details, you will receive an email address that looks like this. Okay, that you have successfully created an account with the office, and credentials will be shared to you so that you can be able to log in and change your password. So these are the details as they may appear. They vary, so these are not the same ones for every organization. You will go back to the website and then log in. So after logging in, you receive, kindly hold on. So after logging in, kindly hold on, let it load. So you will put in that email address that you used to create the account and the password details that were given to you to change your password. So after logging in, let the dashboard load, you're going to see. Okay, so this is how it will look like when you've logged in. You go to company registration, new application, and these forms will be appearing in this format. You put in, kindly hold on, I'm having a network problem. Okay. So this is how it will appear. Okay, where you see category, you click these: data controller, data processor, and data collector. You look for the type of organization, which is NGO. You look for the country of incorporation. Let's choose France, for example, where the NGO was incorporated. It varies. Then the registration number. So you put that registration number must be the number that appears on the certificate of incorporation or that certificate that has been issued by the NGO Bureau. You look for sector. For example, if you're not seeing your the details of what your NGO does here, you can always click other. You specify the sector. In this case, I'm just going to put, let's say, for example, orphanage. Okay. Then you put your physical address, for example, Kampala. Uganda. Make sure you also include the plot number. This is where your offices are located. Let's say, for example, plot 1, Lugogo bypass. Kampala, Uganda. Okay, then you look for the nature of your business categories. For example, human health and social work activities. Then you look for the nature of your business subcategories. Kindly hold on, let dashboard load. You can choose human health activities if that is what your NGO deals with. If you provide a home for orphans or survivors of domestic violence, you can put residential care activities or social work activities without accommodation. Make sure for every page that you're filling, for every page that you're finished filling in the details, you click save, so that information does not appear, and you can always log out and log in at any time of convenience. The next step is the part on data protection officer. It is not mandatory to designate a data protection officer. However, this is a person who is a point of contact between your organization and the personal data protection office. So usually in the application process, we require the organizations to designate a data protection officer. So in this sense, you click yes, put in the name of the person who you have designated as the data protection officer. Like I said, this person has to have an independent role within the organization. It may be your head of IT or an information security officer, your lawyer, compliance officer, an auditor who comes and works in your organization externally or internally. Let's say Kampala. So under the physical address, you have to make sure you put in the office details of the data protection officer, not their home address, but their office address. Let's see. Telephone number. Make sure you put in a valid telephone number. Let's say 7710. And an email address. So the email address that you're using to create this account should not be the same email address for the data protection officer. Otherwise, the system will not accept you to put in that information. So make sure you put in a valid email address that is not the same as the one that you had used to create the account. Then make sure you put in the title of this data protection officer. Like I said, it may be an existing employee, or you may decide as an organization to create a role for data protection officer and employ someone separately. So that is it on my part. Next week, we shall have a webinar on the 2 next steps presented by my colleague, Ian Solomon Obo. But I think for now, this is all that I have to present. Make sure that for every page that you have finished filling in, you click save, so that you can always log out and log in and still finding the information that you filled in. Thank you so much for listening in. Back to you, Anita.
Thank you very much, Isabella, for that presentation. I am now going to take the questions. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A panel. Isabella, I am going to read the questions that are in the Q&A panel so far. One, someone is asking, can companies who are in the process of completing the NGO registration process still register with the PDPO?
So thank you so much, Anita. So when I was taking you through the different steps, there was a part that you were supposed to fill in, which is details of the number that appears on your certificate of incorporation or the certificate that has been issued to you by the NGO Bureau. In my opinion, I think it would be difficult for you to complete the process unless you've already established the NGO. So you may not have started your NGO activities, but if you have your certificate of incorporation, that is enough, and that will suffice for you to begin the registration process and complete it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Isabella. The next question I have is, at what point is payment needed? Is it before or after creating an account or after registration?
So there is a video that you can always access on YouTube on how to make the payment through URA. You may begin the process of payment before or when you're ready to submit your proof of payment, but it's always advisable for you to first make the payment, then begin the process of applying for registration.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you've been answered. The next question is about, can an entity appoint 2 data protection officers?
So in my opinion, there can only be 1 data protection officer. However, the data protection officer can always have an assistant who maybe guide him or her in performing his roles within the organization. But as far as the law is concerned, there can only be 1 data protection officer. It is also possible for a data protection officer to be 1, but for various organizations. A number of law firms have appointed various members within their law firms to be data protection officers for several organizations. So there can be maybe 1 data protection officer for several entities, but that entity can only have 1 data protection officer. I hope I've been clear on that answer.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Still on the same question, there is another question that has come up related to that. And someone is asking, on the choice of the data protection officer, she says for them, they assume that the head of an organization is in charge of all data that is collected. So they are asking, is there room to change after your explanation? And if they have thought about it and they would like to change, is there room for change?
You can always contact the office through registration at pdpo.gor.ug or reach out to me on my email, as I've shared on my screen, so that we can have you edit that part. Kindly write down this email address and then reach out to me after this session. I will help you on that matter.
Thank you very much. I am seeing here an important question on what you've presented. Someone is asking, how do I edit the very first section of the application? It looks like the data, once it is entered, it cannot be edited.
So when you want to make any edits after submitting your application, it will be hard for you you will not be actually able to edit it unless we have enabled the system on the back end to have you edit those necessary parts. So what you need to do if you want to make any edits, you can always contact me on my email, as I've shared on the screen, and I will be able to respond to your queries and we can see how you can make the changes.
Thank you very much, Isabella. We have another question. Someone asks, community-based organizations, CBOs, also are required to register?
Anita, kindly repeat that question, please.
Oh, Isabella, sorry, I was muted. The question was, are community-based organizations also required to register?
Yes, as long as you collect, process or retain personal information about your data subjects, you are required to register with the office. Yes, that is it basically.
Thank you, Isabella. I can see questions about the fate of NGOs that haven't registered. Please note that the deadline for registration was extended to 31st of November. Another question is, for organizations with both the certificate of incorporation and NGO certificate, which one is more appropriate to be used in data protection?
Any of them can apply when you can use any of them when you're applying for registration. Either the one that is issued by the Registrar of Companies or the one that is issued by the NGO Bureau.
Thank you, Isabella. There is another question here. Someone says private companies collect a lot of personal data. Are they also required to register with PDPO since they are just starting?
So like during my presentation, I had already shared information that any person, institution, or public body collecting, processing, holding, or using personal data within Uganda, and organizations that do the same that are abroad in relation to Ugandan citizens are required to register with the office. So yes, even limited liability companies, such as MTN, for example, or Airtel, are required to register with the office. It's not only applicable to NGOs, but all kinds of entities that collect, process, or hold personal data.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a couple of questions where people are asking, can the administrator be appointed as a DPO? Some are asking, can the director be appointed as a DPO? So Isabella, I would request that this question be answered at once, basically covering which person should we appoint as a DPO. Back to you.
Thank you, Anita. Like I had already shared, individuals who have independent roles within the organization and are not actively involved in the organization's processing activities, such as lawyers, auditors, monitoring and evaluation officers, assurance officers, compliance officers, information security officers, may be designated as a data protection officer. It will be up to the organization either to choose an existing employee or specifically establish a role of data protection officer within their organizations. Yes, kindly note that it has to be someone with an independent role so that in case of, let's say, for example, any breaches or failure to comply, this person is able to inform the office of any violations of the act, with the act. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Isabella. There is a question on whether the 100,000 fees for registration should be paid annually or it's a one-time payment.
Yes, thank you so much, Anita. This fee of 100,000 shillings is paid once annually. That means for every year, you pay 100,000 shillings.
Thank you very much, Isabella. There are a couple of questions on whether this presentation is going to be shared. Please note that the presentation is going to be shared on the emails that you use to register for this webinar. There is another question. What happens if an organization is not able to register right now?
Okay, like Anita had informed you, the participants, that the NGO Bureau has extended the period within which you're supposed to register with the office to end of this month. But kindly, as much as possible, make sure that you register before the deadline. And I have also shared my email for those who are interested in applying today or this week. Kindly contact me. So there are fines that the office has the power to give you, a fine for refusing to register. That is up to 2% of the institution's annual gross turnover, or even imprisonment for every officer who knowingly permitted such non-compliance. So the office has power to issue a fine that your organization is supposed to pay, but it is only 100,000 shillings. If you refuse to register, then that would be even much more money than you'd have spent registering.
Thank you very much, Isabella. For those asking for material on the regulations, this material is available on our website where you go to register. Before you go to register, check under Information Center Resources. You'll be able to see a copy of the acts and regulations, and you can download it for your own reading. Another question, someone asked what kind of information is needed for data protection. I think this question is not clear. Hannah, if you can elaborate more on that question, then we'll be able to answer it. Then another question is, after payments and online registration, do I assume the process has been completed for my organization, or do I have to submit a report as well? Isabella, can you hear me? There is a question on, after I have effected the payments plus the online registration, should I assume the process has been completed on my end as an organization, or do I have to submit a report to the office as well?
So after you have registered, a certificate will be issued. You can download the certificate by logging onto the account that you created. There will be an option for you to download the certificate. You don't have to come to the office to get a report or have a physical certificate. You just download it after the registration process has been completed and the certificate has been issued by the director.
Okay, thank you very much. There is a question on whether registration is a one-off or it is renewed annually. I think this question has been answered, right? Someone says they didn't hear the deadline for registration. Well, the deadline is 31st of this month. So please ensure you have completed your registration by then. So someone is asking, we have learned about this registration today, and I believe many organizations countrywide could be facing the same. How do you plan to increase to popularize the new mandates?
Well, this information is going to be shared on YouTube because it's being live streamed. Organizations that are intending to register will be able to access this information on how to register, because a number of NGOs have been facing difficulties with this application process. But since we are doing our best to share this information about the webinars, I'm sure we shall be able to reach out to as many NGOs as possible. I also wanted Becca to kindly add on that matter, maybe add some information on that. Becca?
Thank you, Isabella. So about the message, we are definitely using various platforms. We'll be also going up country. We'll be sharing that program early next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Becca. Someone asks, are there any legal ramifications for being a data protection officer? And I'm combining it with the next question, which is on the same. Someone had also asked earlier what the repercussions of being a DPO is. Isabella?
So the data protection officer, like I had already informed you, is someone who has been designated by the organization to ensure compliance with the Act. This person may be a lawyer, your auditor, a monitoring and evaluation officer, an assurance officer, a compliance officer, or an information security officer. So this role as a data protection officer is basically compliance. The law is not very clear on what the implications are, but for every officer who permits a breach to happen, for example, if it's illegal to sell personal data, if an organization is illegally selling personal data, the data protection officer becomes aware of such information and does not share that report and does not report to the personal data protection officer, he or she will be liable to be arrested for permitting such breach to happen or such non-compliance to happen.
Okay, thank you very much, Isabella. There is a question on how long should we expect to get a certificate of registration following the online registration and payment?
After the director has verified that you have the payment has reflected on our system and all the details have been filled in correctly, the certificate is usually issued even that very day or a few days after you have submitted your application. The only reason why most NGOs are facing a delay in receiving their certificates is because they are filling in the wrong details that they are not supposed to be filling in, or they are putting in wrong information, or they have not submitted the proof of payment or the correct documents that are required. But if you have applied properly and filled in these details correctly, your certificate is issued even that very day or like a few days after.
Okay, thank you very much. For those asking what to do when you face issues with submission, please reach out to the office. You can send an email to registration@pdpo.go.ug or to the email that is on your screen. The next question, Isabella, we have here is, please elaborate on the data protection privacy policy that is required in the process of registration and what it must have.
Okay, you can always contact your lawyer or your information security officer to draft for you an internal policy. This is an internal policy. There are various templates also online on how to draft such a policy. But if you're facing difficulties, you can always contact your lawyer or your information security officer to draft for you one.
Okay, thank you, Isabella. There is another question here. Someone says, I submitted my application for registration for the organization I work for. How do I know that the registration is fully done, and how long do I have to wait for that information?
You have to, so a tracking number is usually, you can always see a tracking number that has been given to you after you have submitted. Kindly keep that information and also keep logging onto the platform to see if the certificate has been issued. Like I already informed you, if all the details of your application are correct, you receive that that certificate either that very day or even a few days later. And you'll be able to download that certificate by logging onto the account that you have created, like I had shown you earlier. And the option for you to download that certificate will be there.
Okay, thank you very much, Isabella. There is a couple of questions about how to generate a PRN. I do not know whether you think we should play the video. If that's okay, then we'll just have all these questions answered via email, and then we play the video as we conclude. Okay, so thank you very much, members. I am going to play the video because I have seen a couple of questions about how to generate the PRN. We are going to play the video as we conclude. If you have any more questions, please email the contact on your screen, the email address on your screen, send an email or send to registration@pdpo.go.ug. Thank you very much. Just give me a few minutes. I upload the video. Okay, thank you very much. That was the video that was shared. We are going to send you an email with the presentation for this webinar, and we shall as well share the link for the YouTube video payment to allow you to effect the payment. Thank you very much. I think we have come to the end of this webinar. Thank you very much for attending. Please note that we are going to be having these webinars every Wednesday for this month of November. We shall continue with you through this registration process till the very end. For you to be able to keep updated, get more information on the webinars, and of course get tips on how to complete your registration, you can follow us on our social media platforms. We are on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Please make sure you follow us so that you're updated on when you are going to have these webinars next. Thank you very much. Becca, Ronald, do you have anything to add before we close this webinar? And members, for those of you with more questions that I still see in the chat, we are going to be answering them. We have a section of FAQs on our website. You can please go there and learn more from them. We have compiled many frequently asked questions. They are there with the answers that you're looking for. Thank you very much. Becca.
Okay, thank you, Anita, and thank you to Ronald and Jamina for making time, but most importantly to Isabella, who has given us a very insightful presentation, but don't forgetting our participants. I see most of you had very many questions. You're wondering why the questions haven't responded to them. But as Anita has pointed out, I will be updating them in the FAQs, but also seeing that we'll be having these webinars weekly. I think we'll start with, not even think, but we'll start with answering some of these questions before we transition to the next section of the application process. So do not feel that we've ignored your questions. No, we'll definitely make sure that we respond them, not just on the website, but even on these webinars, since they will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. As usual, please use the email addresses on the screen. We'll definitely be getting back to you. We look forward to assisting you achieve compliance. Now, registration is just the first step, but there is a lot more to be done. We give you compliance tools after you've registered. So we'll also be guiding you in that regard when this is completed. Thank you all and have yourselves a good morning.
Thank you, Becca. I have uploaded a link in the chat. Kindly click on it and give us feedback on this training. We are basically doing this to help us understand how we can serve you better next time. So please click on that link and give us feedback, and we shall use this feedback to make the next trainings better. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes for people to click on the link and put in their responses, and then I'll close this webinar. Have a wonderful day.